friend. Let's take a minute to slow down together today. Let's breathe in and out. I had this beautiful image the one day when I was on a walk of there was wind and leaves blowing around me, but I was in the middle and I was the calm in the storm. The sense of internal stillness that you would imagine that innermost part of the storm would be. You can see the chaos around you, maybe people walking busily past, maybe mentally you see or feel the chaos of your to-do lists, your responsibilities, your dreams, your hopes, all swirling around. But you get to be the center, the grounded point, and that stillness in the middle of that chaos storm. And that's something I've reflected on since then, and something that's come up since then as well in just different ways of just this idea of calmness and stillness. And for me, that is the reflection of the topic that I wanted to talk about and reflect on today with slowness. Stillness and slowness, they can go hand in hand, really. But um, slowness is so needed in today's world, and it's something that is not celebrated. It's often looked down on. I think it's sometimes seen as laziness or maybe apathy. I've been labeled as apathetic sometimes. Maybe I am in certain ways for certain things, but I'm also, I do care, but there's a difference between caring and being frantic about it, and caring and being slow and intentional and still. And that's just like something that's not, you know, we don't learn these things growing up usually. And it's just so needed when things are just, getting harder for a lot of people to live in their daily life, right? Daily life can be getting harder. Um, excuse me, I had a frog in my throat the past couple days, but um, having that sense of, just there's more and more to do, and there's only one you, and there's only a certain amount of time in the day to do it, right? And so, how can we slow down when all of this is going on? And why is it important? Um, like, in my mind, slowness is the most important out of like anything you can do to start getting better in any capacity. Um, if you're trying to help yourself with, anxiety or, um, anxious feelings, or, just big emotions, or feeling like it's hard for you to handle certain situations, like a really busy grocery store, or just handling so many things, like so many responsibilities that you have. If you don't slow down, you're just going to burn out and it's just going to make things worse. So for me, slowing down is that first step, like that first thing that needs to happen. And slowing down, it can look like so many different things. But which I'll get to. I'll get to the how. I have some ideas and some things that have worked for me, and things that I'm exploring myself. But it's so important. You need that sensory regulation. Slowness allows for you to even connect with your body, to think of Do I need a snack? Do I need some water? My body has been telling me it hates seasonal allergies recently. I never used to have seasonal allergies this bad before, and I'm in a learning curve of learning what my body needs at this time, um, and like learning when to rest and when to still do things in this space. So, like, checking in with your body. It's such a small thing, but something we don't do all the time, or it's easy to forget. Um, as well as um, allowing yourself to process emotions. I see so many people, especially at work sometimes, in the swirl of the workday, right? It's so easy to just experience things and then just never revisit them again. But the thing is, our body remembers, our mind remembers, our subconscious remembers. And if we don't take that time to process things, it can, manifest in bigger things later. So being able to slow down allows for that sensory regulation. It allows you to integrate what you've been feeling throughout the day, even like good feelings. Like I have to actively sometimes like make it a point to feel good feelings. Because if it's like a small win throughout the day, I might be like, yay, like that was cool. But like you have more and more to do or more going on, so you just kind of keep going, right? So you keep going, and it's just you don't have that time to really integrate, and the slowness allows you to integrate those feelings into your body. And excuse me. So, um, allowing that integration and allowing yourself to process big emotions. Like, there are so many emotions. It's so funny because, in my career and in the past, I work with kids, and it's so funny as adults. Like, we want to like put feelings into very easy boxes for them, and we want to be like, okay, how are you feeling? And okay, like, well, I know you're feeling that, but like now it's time to focus on this, right? And it's just like that's not how feelings work a lot of times. Um, it's of course good. I mean, it's still good to like learn the basics, right? You wanna learn those basic feelings, but very quickly feelings are complex. And a lot of times you might not even know what the feeling is exactly or where it's coming from. Um, and you won't unless you take the time, right, to let it process and to let it come up again and to really look at it and maybe ask it, what are you here to show me? Or what do you need? So um, allowing slowness into your life can open up those opportunities to really look at what are these feelings really showing me? And it's just so beautiful to be able to dig into that and to get to know yourself more deeply. And then that way you can maybe recognize that if it's a pattern or an emotion that you feel again in the future, you'll be able to recognize it and put a label to it because you've figured out what it is for yourself. It's not someone else telling you what emotion that is. It's not you just feeling things or like wondering why you might be off or something. um, like wondering why you're off, but it doesn't have to be any of that. When you give yourself time to slow down. So yeah, so sensory integration, processing emotions, integrating feelings, and for me, like stillness and slowness can bring some of the most inner clarity. So, all of those things that you're trying to juggle, or maybe decisions that you're trying to make, or, wonderings that you have of maybe how can I do this? How can I make this sustainable? How can I keep doing this? How, like all the how questions. You're not going to get the answers just by thinking through it. And trust me, I've tried. I love thinking through things. I love overthinking things. I love getting into the nitty-gritty of things. I love learning. And there's a time and place for that, and that's beautiful in itself. But it's not going to bring you all of the clarity that you're probably looking for when you're in like the super chaos, right? So it's really only just slowness and reconnecting with yourself that's going to help. So thank you for sticking with me through working through the coughs. Um, yeah, all the pollen has just settled into my lungs at this point, onto my vocal cords. Um, so how do you slow down? That might be one of the biggest questions. And so I've just wanted to share some things that I've learned recently. I'm going through a transition right now, and I've recognized it as a cycle that I've been through before, but in a different way. Like it's kind of like a different phase of the same cycle, I would say. And both cycles have brought me a lot more of understanding of like what those cycles brought me, like what I was able to learn from them, people I was able to meet, parts of myself I was able to meet, like I was able to, explore different things or different places, um, see myself in different settings and see what I did there, and like how I could um, integrate in that setting, um, and be me or not be me, like figure out what was a match for me or maybe wasn't. So it's been a really beautiful time to really look at those patterns. and and so slowing down is something that I've really needed to consciously do sometimes. Although I will say I feel like I'm more of a naturally slow person. As far as like I'm kind of like on my own time. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who can feel that. And it's not to be like disrespectful for other people's time, and that's where it can be tense sometimes because I don't want to be disrespectful for other people's time. But growing up, if I was, just, running late for something, the usual response of just like hurry up or just get it done faster, get up early, like it just didn't change my internal pace enough to really make much of a difference. And so, I've had to kind of adapt my life for that. I've had to, find jobs that I can work more flexibly in. I'm very grateful for positions I've had where I can be a bit more flexible. I make my own schedule essentially in some ways. So, so I can like move pieces here and there when I need to be more flowy with my time versus strict. Um, so that's just kind of how I am naturally. But even me, like I've had to really try with slowing down, um, especially when, you're in transition and like it feels like things are going fast and slow at the same time. Like I feel like I have so much like on my plate, so much I need to wrap up, or maybe so much I want to do, while at the same time, like, I'm wanting to like take advantage of where I'm at right now and like feel into that and feel the gratitude for the people I'm around and all those things before I do transition to like, a next step. So it's like that fast and slow kind of speed. But I've really needed to figure out how do I slow down when everyone around me and, my own schedule is just being piled up, right? So everyone around me is in chaos energy in their own ways or survival mode in their own ways. And really I've really been working on stepping away from survival mode. Um, I'm very grateful for where I'm at in life too, because I do know that some of it comes, from, privilege of, being able to do that, of like, just like, for example, like like a career that I have that it's already pretty flexible, right? So that in itself, I'm so grateful for the position I have where I can kind of make it work for me a little bit more than maybe some other job, let's say, for example. But yeah, like just getting the slowness, like, and this is why it's so important though for long-term success is the people who I see in that frantic energy, and they say like they know they're burnt out. They go on a break or a vacation and it's like barely being able to breathe and then like feeling like you're back in the ringer. And again, with just things getting more and more chaotic, I feel like, it's not sustainable long term as a whole, I think, as like a society. And, as, our individual people in our individual lives, it's not it's not sustainable for you to do that and not get burnt out or like lose track or lose sight of things that you truly want to do, that like you're truly like that truly fills you up, or lights you up. So yeah, so and also I will say, so I don't want to edit this video too much. I might try to edit some of the coughs out, we'll see. But that in itself, like social media and videos, it's just like go, 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 right? Like you're just thrown so much content, so many ads, like just nonstop talking. And like your ears need a break. Your ears need a break. Your brain needs a break. Your nervous system needs a break. So let me be that break in more ways than one and more than I intended to with this cough. But take this as your break to slow down, and listen and see what tidbits are in here for you. But we get to live in this energy, and this is like the fun part, I think, of being able to slow down is, one of the ways is just in the life that you currently have, not taking anything else off your plate or, not changing what your to-do list or what you have. One of the best ways is to just integrate it into what you're already doing. So whether that is like, if you watch a lot of videos, let's say, and you just take take a break or put some pauses in before you go to the next video, right? Like you take a break in between. Um, excuse me. Breaks are so underrated, and I have to remind myself to do them too, because I'll get, in a mode of like doing this or this, and you just need to take a break sometimes. Another way is just bringing in like little bits of mindfulness that you can. So, like really taking time to eat your lunch. And this is something that like, again, for me, I'm just like kind of more naturally wired this way. Like some people can truly like eat and like tap away on their computer and like multitask in some manner, and I cannot. I need to like, all right, now is lunchtime. So I've had to learn to operate this way in like a world where like you feel like you should be multitasking at all times. Um, and I just, that's not how I roll and how I operate. And I've come to terms with that. And I think there's so much, and I'm grateful for that because I've had to figure out how to do it because that's just how like I run. And people who are able to multitask, then it's like, they might not have the opportunity to even try that out because um, they're not kind of forced to do it in a way. And so they, you might not realize like, just taking time for lunch, slowing down that way, um, really listening to a good friend, just really taking time to not talk and to practice being an active listener, or taking time to like listen to what's around you. So like kind of mindfulness throughout the day of just noticing anything that you're hearing, noticing anything you're feeling in your own body. Like, did like something, someone screaming outside, like, did that just throw you off more that day than like maybe it usually does? And like just noticing that, um, noticing any, sights or smells, just taking those mini mindfulness moments, M, M times three, those those like mini mindfulness moments throughout the day, taking those breaks, like it sounds so simple, but it really is, I've found in very impactful. And for me, another one too is journaling. Like I'll just take notes on like a note app on my phone. But when I'm just like noticing things in my environment, I'll jot it down as well. So it's almost like being a journalist for my own life. I feel like I'm taking notes, I'm taking data on myself. Um, and that feels great because it's not that I always look back at it or ever look back at it, but it's the process of writing it down, of jotting it down. It's just another layer of noting it and like acknowledging, like, I'm noticing this, or I'm feeling this, or I'm wondering this, and like this thought came up today. And when we write it down, it does commit that to our memory a little bit more. So if it is something significant that comes up again, you're more likely to remember, like, oh, I felt that or thought that or experienced that before. And that's another point where you can get more clear of, okay, like, oh, I noticed, this thing before, like, interesting. Um, like maybe this is something that bothers me more than I realized, or this is something that like I'm more curious about and like that I actually do want to look into, like whatever it is. So it can just allow so much for so much clarity. And um, let me think, I'm trying to think through all the ways I wanted to share about how you can slow down, be in the slowness, be in the stillness. So we have mindfulness. Oh, and and journaling, breaks, also meditation. Um, um, I used to think that meditation had to be like you need to like sit still and like not think about anything for like an extended period of time. And like for me, like I like as at least like initially when I thought that's all that meditation was, I was like, I can only do it when like I'm by myself at home. Like there's no way I could do that anywhere else. But really, I find it like it could be like meditation or also just like prayerfulness, or if you're someone who prays or says something, a quick like some, I'll say a quick prayer before like driving or something for, just protection. Like that in itself, I think is also mindfulness or sorry, meditation in a way, when you're just getting into a different state of mind, even just for a minute of, okay, I'm kind of kind of the opposite of mindfulness, not quite the opposite, but you're stepping out of your present a little bit, or it's kind of like stepping out of like your physical presence, but like being present spiritually, I guess, um, or soulfully. So you can dig into that and even just for a minute or two of, okay, like I'm going to focus on this. I'm gonna maybe, yeah, send this prayer up or just think of things that I'm grateful for, or try to, think of something that like raises my mood, like whatever it is that you want to focus on. It's just taking that minute. It doesn't have to be a full thing. Although, like if you can, like listen to mindfulness, some or meditations. Something that I'll do too sometimes is like listen to videos that has like soothing music, or um, something where you could almost meditate too. But even if you're driving and you're not like fully, sitting and like digging into it, just listening to it in the background can be very helpful, even if it's like in place of other music, um, to just help you to really slow down, excuse me, slow down and center, right? So coming back again to that idea of centering, being that center calm of the storm, it's just such a beautiful and powerful space to be in. And slowness gets to bring you there. Stillness gets to bring you there. And my last main point, and just something that I wanted to share that I've been thinking about, and just like wanting to journal out essentially in a video, is like I'm very interested in like executive function. So our brains do so much, and it's just freaking amazing. Um, but our executive functioning affects so much, right? So people with executive functioning difficulties, like a lot of times you think of just attention, but executive function affects so many things. And when you're overloaded with things, like anyone's executive functions can start to go haywire, right? So I just see it as like, people are just more and more like needing to do more or be more or handle more responsibilities. Our executive functions are going haywire. But if you think about something that I've, kind of has more recently come into my awareness of, like, just thinking about how people with more like high performing or like high intensive jobs where like you have to make decisions, like people maybe high up in leadership positions, you have to make decisions like decisively and maybe more quickly. um, they have strategies, and like people are taught different executive function strategies to be able to handle those things. And I feel like more people need to learn about that just to handle the day to day, because like the day to day can be just as much, if not more, than um, someone in a job in that position. If you're juggling like multiple jobs, like family, other things, like it's a lot. So, um, I mean, some of the things to me, it comes to like, to me, this is what I see of like slowing down and how it can help you be successful in the long term, because it's honoring your nervous system. It's helping you integrate, it's helping you process emotions, it's helping you focus on your body so that you can handle those things, because you can. You can handle what you need to handle. Um, and one of them is trying to delegate those. So if there are things that you personally don't have to do, maybe there's someone that can help you with it, or you could give something away entirely, or prioritizing. Prioritizing is another one of, okay, like I don't need to focus on this. And maybe there's something that you can take off your plate completely. You can just let go of. Obviously, that's not for everything, but really sitting down and being very, very specific with, what am I personally spending my time on? And is that serving me in the way that I need to, right? So people in those jobs, it's like, is this moving me along? Is this, moving the business along? Is this um, helping me be be able to make those quick decisions, or is it bogging me down, right? So being really specific and really clear to yourself about that. Can I let go of some things? Can I delegate? Now, when you're left with, what you do have to do, doing those, you know, making sure that like you're taking care of your body, right? And taking breaks and mindfulness or meditation throughout the day. That's stuff that people do who have like high stress jobs, because it's so important that they are at their top, like mentally, right? And um, also with emotions, right? Like you don't want someone who's in charge of like something that affects a lot of people and make a split decision out of anger or misjudgment or, a big emotion. You need to have emotional regulation, emotional, um, oh, there's another word that I'm thinking of, but yeah, like, oh, it'll come to me, but emotional regulation. So like those things need to be priority so that they're in a position to be making those big, impactful decisions, let's say, for example. So, you know, prioritizing the things that will allow your executive functionings to operate to the best of their ability is the way to um, achieve long-term success, I truly feel. And I'm learning that and exploring that and playing with that in my own life. And so I just want to thank you so much for joining me on this meandering thought path today, um, and sticking with me with my voice. And I know this will reach whoever it needs to reach when it needs to reach you. So I hope it is helpful. And I'm so grateful to have this conversation with you. And I will see you in the next one.